what you're about to hear is literally my own fault. Nobody put me up to this. The person to whom my comments are directed would not be a party to self-praise. However, I feel you should know that before this group meets again this fall, one of our members, namely Charlie Osgood, an original member at that, will mark 40 years as a CBS News correspondent, and if my information is correct, it will be September. This man is as practical as they come and need not be reminded that some people in this industry, now or several decades ago, really did consider themselves fortunate to stay 5 years, maybe even 10 years in the same job. Why? Because the one big constant in our industry has always been, and still is, change. So with that in mind, allow me to say, and I'll sit down and maybe even shut up. A number like 40 carries some exciting history, but about your talent, there is no mystery. Whether it's serious prose or humorous verse, with Charles Osgood's ability, it will never be bland, it will never be terse. You are, thank goodness, simply one of a kind. And therein lies my very last rhyme. Heartiest congratulations. He has nothing to say.
Thanks. You know, Westwood One sent out a memo last week saying that I've been there at CBS for 40 years. And I appreciated him doing that, except it's wrong. I've been at CBS since I started at WCBS, and that was 43 years.
That's right.
But that was ancient history, and Westwood wouldn't know anything about that.
But the Westwood, the story that I saw, since you said this, the story that I've seen one story. I mean, I knew 2 months ago I was going to do this. The one story that I saw, you were at the local station in August of '67.
Yes.
We understand that. There was a headline that said, "The Osgood file is 40 years old," and I saw that headline and I said, you're going to tell me if I'm right or wrong in front of all these people. Profiles you were doing, there was no Osgood file, and that came later.
Well, yes, so they were wrong about that too. No, but what I'm saying is I know that I was on WCBS before we went to the All News Forum.
Yes.
Pat Summerall was doing
The morning show.
Super Summerall, and we had Orville and Wilbur and all that.
That's right.
But is my date wrong on September of '71? Because that was in the trade papers, and that's where it was in my file. As you going from local to
I think at some point we called it, the first time they called it was Profile.
Profile,
but it wasn't
about 8:30 in the morning.
But it wasn't Profiles, you know. And then they called it Newsbreak.
Right.
Leonard Bernstein's brother used to write the New York, and he was in charge of the department that did write the little funny things, which they refer to as Newsbreak.
He hasn't learned to check this
And
out.
I interviewed him once. He had written a book about James Thurber. And he told me that they always thought that the title of the show I was then doing, Newsbreak, was very amusing, since it was it meant it was just a built-in joke.
You know what? You had